Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, I'm out at Julius Kleiner Park today, and I've got some Freewell filters to show you. So I have the Mavic 3 and what Freewell calls the split ND 4-pack. And I'm bringing this in closer so that you can see it. So what does that include? As you can see, it is a split filter. In other words, it'll have a different filter for the top telephoto camera than it does for the main micro four thirds camera on the bottom. And how do they split them up? Well, you've got an ND8 for the main camera, then just a UV filter for the top, and then a 16 and an ND2, a 32 and a 4. And the one that we'll likely use today is the ND64 with the ND8. And what I'm going to do is I'm out here at the park, and you can see the landing pad there. We are going to get this set up on the Mavic 3, and we're going to go out there and see. First, we're going to go out with no filter on at all, and we're going to orbit one of the fountains out there, and then we're going to go to the other end, and we're going to look at some of the traffic going by, and then we're going to put on that ND64 filter with the ND8 on top. And we're going to do the same thing with it, and we're going to see if we can show you the motion blur, which is what an ND filter mostly does for you, in video and on your drones. Let me see if I can get this out of the box real quick, and we'll show you the jewel case. And what Freewell always has is an excellent presentation. So one of the things that I always give Freewell a hard time about is this little zip opening on the top. It never works, or at least it doesn't work for me. Let's see if we can do it live on the air here. Yeah, and as you can see, yeah, that just never works. You just get a little piece of paper. But anyway, let's get this thing open. Okay, you can see this where I pretty much had to destroy this thing to get it open. Anyway, here is where they really do it right is with this jewel case, and it always has a piece of plastic over the top of it. Let's get that satisfying rip of getting that off there. That's easy enough. And there you can see the filters and what we're going to use. Well, let me open it up so you can see them a little better. So the one that we are going to use is this ND64 with the ND8. And let's go ahead and get the drone in the air. And the first flight we're going to do with the drone here is without any filters on it at all. We're going to show you that, and then we'll put the filter on there, and we'll see if we can see some motion blur in the fountain and in the traffic out there on Fairview Avenue. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to switch into manual mode, or pro mode as they call it, and see if we can get this camera adjusted. And you can see right off the bat that the shutter speed is really high, and we're at ISO 100, so that's fine. So yeah, let's lock in that shutter speed, and maybe, yeah, that's going to be good right there. Shutter, we are going to lock that in at 1/2000, and let's lock in the aperture too, and the ISO on 100, and then let's go ahead and take off here, and we can adjust that once we take off if we see some issues there. So let's just do an automated takeoff here on the app. And by the way, I am using the smart controller. Home point updated. Let's go up that requisite 7 meters high, or a little more than there. Let's let the drone take a look at its landing area before we move off, and that'll give us an idea of see if we can get a precision landing when we come back. That's always fun to do. That's just a side note. Let's bring it back down and spin it around here and get a look at us, and then we'll do our usual manual droney. And I guess I better start recording here, huh? So let's start recording now. And I am just looking, I think our exposure values look okay to me. I don't see any reason to change any of that. If you look at the histogram, we're not quite in the middle, but we're pretty close. So let's drop that camera down just a little bit and get centered up here and reverse and up now. And there's that drone. And yeah, so there we are. Let's just quit messing around. Let's get right out there and take a look. And I'm looking at the histogram. It looks like our exposure is okay. So let's go ahead and head right out over the, and we're in normal mode here. We're going to head right out over the pond and we're going to take a look at that fountain. And we're going to do a little circle around the fountain here, and with the shutter speed as high as it is, you're going to see every drop of water on this fountain, right? Yeah, you look at those drops, you're going to see every single drop of water. So I'm going to put it in cine mode, and we're going to do just a rotation around here. And so the point of it is, when we put that ND filter on there, those individual drops of water are going to be more of a blur. You're not going to see them as individual drops of water. You're going to see them as a blur of water. And then once we're done here, we'll go over and we'll look at the street and we'll look at traffic going by, and we should be able to see the same thing. Again, you know, with our shutter speed set at 2,000ths, I mean, it's definitely stopping motion. And the point of an ND filter is to get that natural motion blur that you see with your human eye when you're looking at something like this, just standing on the shore looking at this. So that's what an ND filter is all about, particularly with video. And you know, I got to tell you, I'm using this RC Pro right now. What an amazing piece of technology. It just makes it so easy to control this drone. You know, we just did a manual circle there and nothing to it. Okay, let's go up and let's put it back in normal mode there. Sorry, I was still in cine mode. And let's head out here towards the street. And we're going to look at this intersection over here, and we're going to see the same thing. You're going to be able to see every car as it goes by, as opposed to if you have an ND filter on there, you're going to see motion blur as those cars come by. So we're over the field now. Let's drop in altitude. Let's get this guy down. I don't know, that's about right. We're about 19, 20 meters high. So we're just going to sit here for a second and let's let traffic go by. That light will change and we'll see a bunch of traffic. Maybe that light will change. There it goes. The turn signal. This is one of the busiest streets in Idaho right here, Fairview Avenue. So we should see a fair amount of traffic. So when you're looking at those cars turning, you're seeing, you know, stop motion, every inch perfectly clear on each car. And now, yeah, here the light change. So we'll let this look at this for a second. And again, you know, you're going to see these cars in perfectly clear motion here. They're not going to, you're not going to see any motion blur whatsoever. So that, you know, traffic doesn't look that bad today. Usually it's a lot more than that. Okay, so that shows that. Let's bring it back. Well, you know what I didn't do is I didn't show with the top telephoto camera, did I? So we need to do that. I'm going to switch to the top camera here. Maybe it looks like I need to stop recording. And then I'll switch to that top camera. Nope. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have to back up here a little bit, aren't we? Okay, let's back this guy up. And let's raise an altitude. Shoot. I should have known that, right? 7 by zoom. I wasn't thinking about that very well, was I? Okay, let's stop right there and let's start recording again. And there's with that top camera. So again, well, let's see if one of these lights changes here. Now I guess we're hoping for that turn light to change, and you'll see all those cars there in front of us turning. And what you should see is you can see every bit, every movement. You can read the letters on the side of that truck that's turning there. And when we have the ND filter on there, we should see a little more of a blur. Okie dokie, I'm going to switch back to the regular camera. Yeah, it won't do it. So we're stopping recording. We're going to switch back to that 1x camera. There we go. There's 1x. That's how far we actually are away. I'm going to start recording again. We are going to do a return to home on the controller, and let's see how close it gets to home. So I'm going to hold down that return to home button. And there you see the drone immediately taking that command. And back it comes, and let's see how close it'll get to landing here on the pad. I like the way this drone kind of lands like an airplane. It drops in altitude as it's coming in. I'm not going to drop the camera. I'm just going to leave it here for you guys to see, and we'll see here. I'll cancel it if it looks like it's too far off. But nah, it looks like it's going to be pretty close. You should be able to see it. Yeah, you can see it on the Action 2 camera now. Looks like it's going to be darn close. It picks up that camera perfectly. And it looks like it's going to be right on the pad. Boom. Look at that, right in the middle of the pad, just what we wanted. Okay, I am going to shut everything down here. I'm going to put the other filter on and we'll take off again. Okay, there is the filter in place on the camera. You can see an ND64 on the bottom and an ND8 on top. Okay, I'm going to switch into auto here for a second just so that we get that picture back. And then let's switch this guy back into pro mode. And well, yeah, so it didn't yeah, because I had those things all set. So let's click on that shutter speed again. Yeah, and that's in auto. Why is it not adjusting itself? But anyway, I know where I want to be. I want to be right about 1/60th because, or a 60th of a second, because I am shooting at 30 frames per second, and we're going to leave. Yeah, that looks pretty good. If you look at our histogram again, we're pretty good. So I'm going to lock that stuff down. Yeah, that changed that to 32. That's pretty good. So let's lock that into manual mode. Now I guess when, yeah, as soon as we have that light off, I was thinking it would say manual on there, but you can see it's good where it's at. So I'm looking at that histogram. We're right in the middle, and that is ideal, that 1/60th of a second on the for the shutter speed. So let's go ahead and let's do another takeoff on the app here. Automated takeoff.
Takeoff. The home point has been updated. Please check it out.
And let's start recording again. And yeah, so I'm going to go straight up again like we did last time. Give this thing a good look at its landing site. And we'll see if we can get another precision landing when we come back. Okay, I'm going to drop that camera down a little bit, and we already did our droney for this video, so let's just go ahead and head straight out over the to the pond there. Let's we can also see how this guy will do with obstacle avoidance here. How about that? Heading straight for the tree. What's it going to do? There, it moved around the tree. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. That's just me holding the stick straight forward. You got to love that kind of automation in DJI drones. Okay, let's get out of here over the. And looks like our histogram is still looking good. And we were pretty close to the
Aircraft entered altitude zone.
to the fountain before, so I think we're about at the same place. I'm going to throw it in cine mode, and we're going to do that same rotation around. And again, you know, I have to say this RC Pro and this Mavic 3 are amazing. Look at that seagull. He's checking us out. Hopefully he doesn't decide to check us out to the point that he wants to take a bite out of us. He's looking to see, okay, is this something I can eat? That'd be an expensive loss. But anyway, so I can even see it on the FPV screen here. We're definitely getting more blur at that 60th of a second. You're not seeing the individual water droplets like we saw with the, let's go straight up here, like we saw when we were shooting at 0.02 of a second. And again, I'm looking at that histogram. It looks pretty good. And yeah, we're going to go full stick forward. And we're going to go back out to that same intersection, and we're going to do the same test as we did before. And we'll take a look, and we should see, again, when we look at this traffic as it's moving by, we should see some motion blur. And then we'll do the same thing with that top camera, and we'll see what we see. But what it does is, because the reason that Freewell sets different values on the ND filters is because the Micro Four Thirds camera, A, it's a bigger sensor, it's going to catch more light. B, it has a bigger aperture. Okay, so here we've got some traffic moving here, and we should see natural motion blur on this traffic as it's going by here. As opposed to before, you'd almost be able to read each license plate on every one of those cars going by. So yeah, we'll let this run for just a little bit here. And that's kind of cool because these cars now are going at a quicker speed, so you'll be able to see it even better as they're going kind of full speed through the intersection. And yeah, when this light changes, we should see the turn lanes come on and see those cars that are turning onto Fairview Avenue, and kind of see the same thing. And then what we'll do is, once we completed that, we'll back it off and we'll try that telephoto camera. So yeah, is that light changing? Look, there it goes. Maybe I lied to you. No, I guess not. Yeah, there we go. You see cars start to stop finally. Okay, so yeah, the cars go straight first, and then we'll see that. I want to show you that turn lane. That's what I'm trying to do, just like we did before, trying to show the same experience as we had without any filter on the camera at all. Yeah, there's a truck going by, so again, it's kind of good to see those trucks. You know, how clear can you see the lettering on the side as it goes by? There's the turn lane, and those cars are starting to come around the corner there, and so you'll definitely be able to see the motion blur at a 60th of a second that you definitely couldn't see when we had the shutter speed at 0.02 of a second. So okay, let's back this guy off and let's raise in altitude. And then we're gonna get that telephoto camera on here. And yeah, I don't know if this is probably a little different angle than we were before. And I noticed I'm facing directly away from the drone, and I saw my RC signal went into the yellow there for a second. So okay, we are going to stop recording, and we're going to go to that telephoto camera. And there it is. And let's see, it is showing, yeah, it kicked up the ISO, and the shutter's at 1/100th. So that's not exactly, but it's a lot slower than what we saw before. Let me see if, yeah, you know, the histogram is right in the middle, so I'm just going to leave that shutter speed right where it's at 1/100th there. And you should see some motion blur on these guys as they're going by, especially those cars that are moving through the intersection at full speed. Oh, I forgot to start recording. There we go. Okay, now you're really going to see that motion blur. That truck going by right there. Sorry about that earlier. So, you know, all the things that you have to remember when you're doing this. So I didn't remember to start that recording. But there you're seeing those cars going through the intersection at full speed, and we should see much more motion blur than we saw when we had the camera without an ND filter on it. And again, the big difference between this telephoto camera and the other camera is much smaller sensor. It doesn't let in as much light, and much smaller aperture. So that's why there's the difference between the ND64 on the bottom and the ND8 on that top telephoto camera. So yeah, let's let these cars, we'll see the turn lane here real quick. We'll let them go, and then we'll bring the drone back to us and we'll do a quick conclusion. Yeah, okay, that light can, there we go. So we'll watch these cars go through the turn lane, and again, you're going to see more motion blur than you saw when we were at a high shutter speed without a filter on there at all. Okie dokie, I'm going to stop recording again, and I'm going to go back to 1x, and you'll see how far away we really are. That's what that telephoto lens will do for you. Let's start recording again, and we're going to hit return to home. This time let's do it on the app itself, and hit return to home.
Go home.
And let's see if this guy will get us another precision landing. We can only hope, right? And how high are we? We're about 55 meters high. With the dynamic return to home on this, you'll see it start to drop in altitude. It takes advantage of the excellent obstacle avoidance that the Mavic 3 has. It can actually go around obstacles on its way to its home point. And yeah, I'm hoping we'll get another spot-on landing on the pad here. This time I'll drop the camera down so you can see it a little bit better here. I am right by that tree there. I'm sitting there on that picnic table. There's our landing pad, and the drone is coming down as it gets near us. Got the camera down to 90 degrees. Looks pretty close. Let's see if it'll zone in here. Yeah, it's a little off, isn't it? Let's see if it finds it. Yeah, look at that. There it decided, okay, there it is. So it's moving right over the top of it. It's going to hit its center. There it picks up the camera, and you're seeing it on the Action 2 right now. It's going to hit, I think, right center of the pad. Boom, there we go. Okay, and all that with 40% battery left. I'm going to stop recording. Let me get everything shut down and we'll do our conclusion. Hey, okay, in my mind there's 3 stars of the show here. The DJI Mavic 3 is just a stunning piece of technology. You know, I'm a big fan of the Mini 3 Pro, etc., and the Air 2S, but let me tell you, this Mavic 3 is the best drone that I own. It's just phenomenal. The power, the precision of this product, and the clarity of the video is just uncompromised, and there's no other drone that compares in the prosumer drone category. Now, I know there's some people out there that'll argue with that, but with, you know, about, you know, Autel drones, etc. I'm just telling you my experience, and in my experience, this Mavic 3 is the best of the best. That is in the consumer drone category. Now, the other thing that I recently did is I bought the DJI RC Pro. I so wish I'd have bought that when I first bought this drone. I wish I had it the whole time. It gives you that nice bright FPV feed, and again, another phenomenal piece of technology. The control sticks are so precise, etc. All the shortcuts and everything you can do with the buttons, well worth the investment. And then the reason for this video, the other star of this show is Freewell filters, and this is the filter that we had on the drone. Hold it up this way. Well, the ND64 with the ND8 on there, as you saw, it really helped us with getting natural looking motion blur in the video. So I'm going to put this thing back in its little jewel case, and we'll show you the whole setup again. So there it is. You get the ND8 with a UV filter on top, an ND16 with an ND2 on top, the ND32 with an ND4 on top, and then the ND64 with an ND8. I'm thinking those top two are the ones you're going to use the most, the ND32 with ND4 and the ND64 with the ND8. Today is a little bit of an overcast day, and I found the ND64 to be perfect because you have such a big aperture and a big sensor on this guy. You really need to put some sunglasses on there to get that shutter speed down to the 1/60th like we did. So that's about it, I guess. I hope you enjoyed this presentation on the split ND4 pack from ND Filters. You can see what it'll do for you with your drone. So yeah, this is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we will see you on the next one, the DJI Mavic 3 and the DJI RC Pro. Awesome technology. See you guys later.